Hey, you guys, it's Chris Oster of chrisoster.com, here to talk to you about how to magnetize your dream clients without being a sleazoid. I love saying that. That actually, the title came from a direct quote from one of my clients. It was like, can you teach me how to magnetize my dream clients without being a sleaze? And the answer is yes, absolutely. So before we jump in, I am going to pull one of my goddess amulets. Really, really cool oracle that I got actually when I was in my first marriage, which didn't go very well. Happily married for my final second time, and anyways, the husband didn't stay, but the amulets did. All right, so let's focus on a message for us today. Go to your center, your core, deep within your pelvis. And breathe deeply and gently. Sensing your universal energy coming down through the top of your crown, all the way down your spine and your body to the base of your spine, where it runs down your legs, out your feet, and into the earth. And then just ground this universal, cosmic, heavenly source energy straight into the heart of Gaia. And feel her heartbeat. We're so close to the equinox time, where her bounty is manifest everywhere. So I ask for our ancestors and guides, angels, Mother, Father, God, the mermaids, the fae, may they surround us and bring us wisdom. And our amulet for today is this beautiful symbol of a hand with seeds. So I'll put that here on my desk. And quickly read the meaning. It is accepting responsibility. The Neolithic village of Çatalhöyük in present-day Western Turkey is approximately 9,000 years old. It was dedicated to the Great Mother. Built over a sacred well, it encompassed 30 to 35 acres. Thus far, up to 12 layers of structures have been excavated. A ceremonial center, Çatalhöyük was apparently located on a busy trade route for obsidian grains and perhaps goddess figurines and amulets. So James Millart was the main archaeologist that excavated this site. And I think Maria Gimbutas might have worked with him on this, but maybe not. This might, I need to kind of bone up on my Maria Gimbutas history. So here is the interpretation. The seeds of growth are in your hands. It's not necessary to invent the seeds, but you have to nurture them. When you receive the seed hand amulet, you are asked to take responsibility for what belongs to you. If you've been moaning about being in the pits, the goddess reminds you not to throw them away. Plant them, water them, nourish them. Watch them grow. With enough patience and love, you'll have your own tree of life. Request a helping hand if you need one. No matter what discomfort you may be feeling, whether it revolves around issues at work, home, or in relationships, the seed that germinates new growth will be found somewhere near the discomfort. In nature, the cure for poison ivy jewelweed is often found within 10 feet of the plant. So goddesses associated with this symbol are Demeter, Ceres, the Viking Norns, Tara, Kuan Yin, and Ops. Gather images that evoke strength, vitality, courage, and hope. Fragrances cinnamon and nutmeg. I had some of that spiciness in my chai tea this morning. So let me give you just a quick agenda, the lay of the land, before we jump into these deep archetypal waters. The first section we'll go through is remembering your legend. And what this is about is tapping into the source of your stories and of self-knowledge. It's soul work, and we could also call it psyche work. We're excavating the material that contains the seeds of who we are becoming. There's the seed reference again. Synchronicity. So myth has a telos. So it has this looking back at the past and also stretching out and seeing into the future. So it's this intelligence that contains the past, present, and future selves in one coherent piece. And so we can look to our past to see, get a glimpse of what and who we're becoming in the future. And the future always somehow references back to the past. The second section is befriending the shadow. So much of ourselves lies below the waterline. And it's invisible, like the underneath of the iceberg, that we're only seeing a tenth of it on the surface. So as we allow the shadow figures to emerge and be present, we begin to understand the connection between our vulnerability and our superpowers. And I find this always surprises clients, that their superpowers are often in the shadow, and often come from the wound. So the shadow holds a lot of repressed power that can be used for our own growth and integration. It's also fun to give ourselves permission to be out there, to be weird, to just lay it on out there and say what we really think. And the third section we'll go through is pleasuring your audience. So many of us have a love-hate relationship with marketing. And when you have a healthy and pleasurable feeling as you're creating your marketing, that same energy will be projected and transferred to your audience. I think for most healers and visionaries, that's obvious, but we don't always connect that to marketing. So we want our marketing content to feel pleasurable. We want it to feel like we're eating salted caramel ice cream on a hot summer day, like it's been in California. Been crazy hot. This kind of marketing goes down easy and it feels natural. It doesn't feel so contrived. It feels more organic. And of course, it's perceived as more authentic. It's perceived as real instead of just, a bunch of BS. So marketing is storytelling. It's communication. So be clear, and at the same time, we channel this archetypal energy behind the physical presence of our brand. So this is kind of like marketing tantra. I like that. The final section that we'll go through today is called Revision Your Story. And this is about coming back home to our original story, or as Paulo Coelho says in The Alchemist, finding our personal legend or realizing our personal legend. No matter how winding the road of entrepreneurship is for us, we end up exactly where we need to be, where we're supposed to be. There's always divine timing. but there is also no straight way to the top. It's real curvy. And when we finally catch our story, the one that brings us home to ourselves, we rewrite everything. We want there to be coherence between our purpose and gifts and how we move through the world in our business. And business is a powerful way to bring our gifts and service into the light. And when that happens, we're seen for who we are and who we've been all along, but maybe have forgotten. So a lot of this material comes from my upcoming book called Return to Enchantment, and I'm going to get this beautiful cover on the screen so you can see it. There we go. There it is. It's so gorgeous. Angie, and I'm probably going to butcher her name, Marokska. She is a book launch coach. She can build websites. She can basically do anything that you need her to do. But what's so great about this book is that I've devised it so you can basically read the introduction and then dive into any of the 7 chapters. So each of the 7 chapters is a different lens into branding with mythological archetypes and connecting with your livelihood and your sacred purpose in a way that your marketing and branding and offering of your work, everything is coherent and brought together. So I do have an Indiegogo going on right now until I think October 2nd or 3rd. And for $5, you can get the book in PDF format. For $25, this is my favorite package, and quite a few people are going for it, is the Mermaid Magic. So you get the book in PDF, and you also get access to my brand new online course, 12 Months of Mermaid Magic, Heal Your Life and Manifest Your Dreams. It's a $250 course, so $25 is like the steal of the century. So check out my Indiegogo. When you get a chance, you can find it on my website at www.chrisoster.com. So, why use myth in your marketing? So, myths are stories that carry a strong archetypal resonance, and that's why they stick around for so long, right? It's profoundly affirming to realize that your stories can reach out and find the person who will resonate most deeply with that. Often we like to think of ourselves as seekers that, I find something. It's like it's always, kind of comes back to the ego. So with this kind of more mythic lens, we could back up and say, well, the story has a life of its own. The story has a resonance, and it's putting out its own siren song in its way. So I really advocate, the archetypal psychology perspective of allowing the image its autonomy. So I want to pause here and read one of my favorite poems. It's by David White. One of my favorite books is Crossing the Unknown Sea. And this poem is called Loaves and Fishes. This is not the age of information. This is not the age of information. Forget the news and the radio and the blurred screen. This is the time of loaves and fishes. People are hungry, and one good word is bread for 1,000. Just go ahead and let that sink in. It's such a beautiful reflection. So, here loaves and fishes are a direct reference to Jesus and his ability to create miracles. And through his faith, he was able to miraculously feed masses of people. faith in his Father. So even people I meet who don't know who Jesus is or who the story of the loaves and fishes, they know that story. Like my daughter, she has not been brought up to go to church. She's aware of Jesus and she knows I'm Christian and well, I'm more like the pagan for Jesus. But that's one of her favorite stories. She loves Bible stories because they have infiltrated our culture. It's a great lesson. She loves the idea of being able to feed thousands of starving people just because you've asked for food and food is provided. So myths and stories like this are retold over and over in films and books, commercials, and they're the language of the soul. Esoterically, throughout many cultures, the heart is the seat of the soul. And the heart generates the largest electromagnetic field in the body. And when it's measured, the ECG is about 60 times greater in amplitude than brain waves recorded on an EEG. And I bring this up because we're talking about magnetism, right? So we're going to start going into the how. We're going to go into these 4 different lenses and sections that I've pulled from my book to help us come up with some of our own ways to enter into mythic marketing. So our first topic is remembering your legend. For each of us, the dream, or as Coelho puts it, your personal legend, we are born knowing what it is. It's unique. It's our conditioning, the cultural and family trance that kind of leads us away from this knowingness and pulling us away from our center. So in our quest to individuate ourselves, often through our livelihoods, we go on adventures, take lots of wrong turns, fall in love, fall apart, and lose ourselves. Along the journey, there are always signs that the universe sends us. And if you look closely enough, you begin to realize that the signs were there even when you were a child. So in my book, and throughout, I use stories and stories of clients who have given me permission, obviously. And when I went through my stories and dream journals, pretty much every single story had a body of water in it. So to me, now that the mermaids really started emerging for me around 2000 and between 2011 and 2012. So it's not a big surprise since every dream that I've chronicled has water in it or a body of water. And of course, as a child, one of my favorite stories was The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. I also loved The Little Match Girl and The Ugly Duckling. That was another favorite. And so I noticed that I resonated to stories that were kind of, had a rather tragic and sad ending. But they pointed to a deeper spiritual truth. And so I see, again, my propensity towards wanting to work with other people who are healers, intuitives, artists, writers, creatives. So, something in me was immediately drawn to other people's pain. And one thing that I find that I can do with my clients, especially the people who come to me have big missions, have a big message to share, and also big fears around visibility. That's been a huge topic of conversation. It's pretty much come up for almost all of my clients. They want to share their messages, but they also want to feel safe and they want to feel more confident about it. So in our workbook, if you had a chance to do it, I had you go through the characters and stories you love and the ones that you love to hate. and to also look at the reasons why. So if you didn't have time before this webinar, you could go back and do the exercise on your own. But I thought we would do the second part of this exercise. And so looking at the characters on your sheet from the first exercise, so let me, I'm going to put that first question on the screen share for you. Okay, because we don't have 15 minutes for y'all to work on this, because we're only together for an hour. But at least I want you to get, you know, one example, so that way you could do this exercise with us right now. Okay, so getting this online. Okay, so in this exercise, you basically on a notepad or a piece of paper, you just draw a line vertically down the center, and at the top left, write love, and at the top right, write love to hate. So start with the love category and begin just a stream of consciousness. Write down the names of characters from films, TV, literature, novels, theater. It could be famous celebrities that you favored as a child. And you can include more recent likes if you can't remember right now. And I will give you 1 minute to do it. Okay, so you should hopefully have at least one character that you love. And okay, so go over to the love to hate side. So it's the same thing, but characters you disliked and maybe even despised. You know, they were like the bad guys usually. And sometimes, like, I really, there were some like good characters that I just couldn't stand because they were just so goody two shoes. I remember even as a kid, I just couldn't stand them. And I also had people like Maleficent that I loved, who were traditionally thought of as the bad guy. So you may not have traditional love and love to hate characters, which is totally okay. So who did you love to hate? I'll give you 1 minute. Okay, so now you should have hopefully at least one character that you love and one that you hate, so we could do the exercise. So look at the characters on your sheet, and you know what themes or qualities jump out at you. It could be loyalty, heroism, triumph over adversity, love, relationship, the underworld. So look at that character and what do they represent for you? I'll give you like another minute to brainstorm and write that down. Excuse me. Oops, sorry. This was the next slide, but it looks like it came up there. Okay, so for me, my top two favorites when I've done this list for myself are The Little Mermaid and Maleficent. So my new logo that's on the screen here was drawn by one of my favorite artists named Sonia Palencia. And what I loved about this was I wanted to really bring together my mythologies, which is definitely water, and then there's definitely the snake dragon woman, the Maleficent, so you see these wings, which to me also represent freedom and love and sovereignty. She's got her chest like open, so she's overflowing with love, and she's got open arms. But she also has a tail. She also has her earth and water element. So I absolutely love what she did with my logo. I'm like, yay! But it does, and when I look at it, it's like, so is who I am, maybe more on the inside than what people see on the outside. But again, this is part of that mythological marketing. Okay. So our second topic for today is befriending the shadow. This is always a favorite section of my course, Bewitch. And it's first getting in touch with your shadow and allowing it to have a voice, which is like the most awesome permission slip that we can give ourselves. And when I do this, all of a sudden people begin to think of ways that their shadow can contribute to their businesses. You may find that surprising, but until you try, you're like, wow, it's kind of a revelation in a bizarre way. So I've had people who write blog posts, you know, either inspired by their shadow or actually written in the voice of one of their shadow figures, which are the posts are vulnerable, they're different, they're way off center, they're unique, and they're so much more engaging than the run-of-the-mill, you know, here's the top 5 blah blah blah, which those are great too, but it's another way to mix up your marketing so you stand out and you can express more aspects of yourself and attract people who maybe wouldn't necessarily know that they would want to work with you by just whatever's on the surface. And the other great part is when you allow your shadow out to play, you give permission for others to do the same. And it just inspires a whole movement of people saying what they really think, which I think we need more of anyways. So yeah, your audience feels like they can be themselves, that, you know, they don't have to be squeaky clean, you know, perfect, and, you know, all those boring qualities that we don't want anyways. So again, you don't need to hide the shadow, and a lot of people kind of tend to think of shadow work as deep and scary and emotional and, you know, whatever. It can be totally high drama if that's the kind of shadow work that is pulling you. But it could definitely be a lot more playful. It doesn't have to be always, you know, heavy duty stuff. So this is a really deeply misunderstood part of ourselves. And again, going back to the autonomy of the image, and these shadow figures, they want to have a voice too. They want to come out and be seen and witnessed. So here's some quick factoids about the shadow. It could represent the energy of the unexpressed, repressed, and rejected aspects of something. It can be both negative and positive. They could be hidden or denied emotions that can turn ugly and destructive. In dreams, they may appear as monsters. Many are shapeshifters, such as wizards, witches, selkies, werewolves, or animal guides, and shamans. The shadow functions to challenge the hero and to give him or her a worthy opponent. And in like, let's say, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, the hero is the ego. And a healthy ego is needed to dialogue with the shadow. So I also feel like the heroes that I love, and I think we're starting to see more of this, like through Harry Potter and maybe even in Frozen, just some of the more recent movies, the hero can also have compassion for the shadow figure. So yeah, so it's not always about let's slay the dragon, let's kill the shadow, off with Maleficent's head kind of thing. That I do not think is healthy, and what I'm seeing now in mass culture versus more I don't know, liberal or just more open, thoughtful ways of looking at the shadow. It's not like the evil, the devil. It's more about the repressed. So the shadow can also create conflict in life-threatening situations and stories. In our psyches, they can make us feel like something is life-threatening when it's really not. Shadows have a touch of goodness and a vulnerable side to humanize them. And this is one of my favorite things. Shadows do not think of themselves as villains. From their point of view, they are the hero of their own myth. Basically, to them, the hero is the villain. The hero is the one trying to screw them over and squelch their plan, right? Shadows also can be unexplored potential, creativity, the roads not taken, the possibilities of life that we eliminate by making choices at various stages. The shadow can appear as the inner critic or the saboteur, and it can also appear as a neglected or abandoned child. And I have to say that one of my most popular blog post series, guest blog post series of all time was Let Your Shadow Be CEO for a Day. And I started it last year in 2013, and I'm going to continue it this year. So look out for that on my blog, and starting next month. We're starting to go into the dark season of the year. So let's get the shadow out. Let's play with the shadow a bit. And one of the first posts that I had was written by Sandy Davis, and it's called Get the Fucking Tattoo Already. And what was so interesting about this is that I posted it on Facebook on my profile because people were signing up for my newsletter that that had read it. People were signing up for her newsletter from my side of things. So it was like a great cross promotion. I got at least 10 signups from that blog of new people who knew of Sandy and didn't know me, and vice versa for her, I think. So it was mutually beneficial. But anyway, so I posted it on my Facebook profile, and I just signed on a new client, and she saw it, and she told me, I can't work with somebody that, that swears, because it had the word fuck in it. So it was an interesting telephone conversation because I said, well, she actually asked me to take it off my wall because it offended her. And I said, I definitely do not do anything to offend anyone. However, that's how I talk sometimes, and this is part of my work. I have to allow the repressed, the shadow, the sides of life that maybe are messy and not very nice. So we both decided that we did not want to work together, and it was mutually respectful. And I'm glad that I found out before she gave me her money, before we went through the whole thing of creating her marketing, because it would have ended in tears. So being yourself, being authentic online is going to also be a good red rope to keep out the people that are not right to work for you. Okay, here we are, topic number 3, one of my favorites, pleasuring our audience. So knowing what gives your tribe pleasure is the surest and fastest way to their hearts, right? And it's also the way to making more sales. You can apply this to your marketing, and one of my mentors, Melissa Casera, does this so beautifully with her style. She's fantastic. So I want to show you her website, because she's totally built her business around the pleasure principle. And get it up on the screen. There she is. Okay, so you go to Melissa's site, and obviously it's fun, engaging, bright, colorful. She kind of has a retro vibe to it. But the first thing you see is, does your business feel like a guilty pleasure? And then down on the left here, we even have a picture of a mug that says, it's a guilty pleasure time, or it's guilty pleasure time. So she's all over that. This is who she is. And I love that she is so well branded that, you know, I mean, if you're into guilty pleasures and allowing yourself to enjoy guilty pleasures, and you want to make your business feel and have your audience come to your business and have it feel like a guilty pleasure, she is the person that you want to work with. It's totally obvious. So let's go over to her work with her page. So want to make headlines but hate promoting your business? The secret is turning your publicity plan into a totally guilty pleasure, so that getting new clients feels like a Game of Thrones marathon topped off with a Gossip Girl rerun. Beautifully, beautifully done. So again, she uses this whole idea of guilty pleasure. There it is again. She's so well branded. She just keeps reminding us that her business is about pleasure. And then she tells us what kind of pleasures she's into: Game of Thrones, Gossip Girl, caramel. She likes caramel. I think she also likes pumpkin spice lattes and salted caramel lattes. This comes through her emails. So everything that she does makes you feel pleasure. So when we talk about pleasure, we're really talking about evoking the presence of Aphrodite. So Melissa has a pretty clean website, but I know as one of her friends and subscribers that she explicitly talks about reading and writing erotica. She's also working on a television pilot. Again, you don't necessarily means go out and be like Melissa Casera, but what I'm suggesting here is to learn more about your own pleasure and how to bring your own flavor of pleasure into your marketing. One of my plunge clients is Helen Hodgson. Okay, I'm going to check to make sure. Okay, it looks like everything's on screen. Good. So Helen's site is called servethegoddess.com. And here we are. Aphrodite's front and center, right there. She's over here too. And I love this. She was one of my plunge clients, and I helped her write the copy for this page and come up with this concept for packages that were based on different Greek goddesses. So for Aphrodite, she writes, seeing beauty everywhere and where it doesn't exist, easily creating it yourself, sometimes out of thin air. You are dynamic, seductive, and know how to delegate tasks so you can attend to self-care, self-love, and celebration. And you love to be revered. Sensual to the core, you need every sense stimulated to feel whole. Sight, touch, smell, and taste. Glittering softness follows you everywhere you go. So if you feel like you are an Aphrodite woman, she says, here's the spa package for you, which sounds fabulous. And so she's done the same for Artemis, for Athena. I love this one because this is so me. Strategy and vision turn you on like nothing else. You have mastered the arts of mental imaging and debate, and you've worked hard and smart to get all the way to the top of your game. You set high standards for yourself, and you shoot for the moon and the sun, and can probably persuade anyone with your gift of gab. You're good with using your hands. They may need a little extra love and pampering. So time to get out of your head and into your gorgeous body and connect with your feminine side. That's what we need to do as Athena women. So here is the Indian head massage scalp treatment. That sounds perfect. So she's created spa packages for the goddess in you. And she also does goddess retreats. She did one in July. And here's a picture of Helen. She's just magnificent. She's so beautiful. But she really lives and breathes, and her whole brand is Aphrodite in business. So to weave your own flavor of pleasure into your brand, you can begin by talking to your dream clients about what brings them pleasure, as well as get in touch with your guilty pleasures and begin sprinkling them into your copy for blog posts and sales pages. And that's something that I've done. I did that for the class Bewitch. Let's see. Give you an example of something. Okay, so here's Bewitch sales page. And there's my mermaid. Cast your spell and get the customers you crave. And there's my mermaidness all over. Let's see here. I might have taken out my, yeah, because this was before the Maleficent came out. So I had some Maleficent references in this before, and I used to have attract your dream clients like bees to honey or moths to a flame, or vampires to fairy blood, because at the time I was really into True Blood. And I said I was a True Blood fan. So again, I had a few people who signed up for the program say, wow, it was so cool that you did that because I'm so into that too. It helps people relate to you, humanizes you, and all that other good stuff. Okay, so we're on to topic 4. Revision your story. I love this Albert Einstein quote, imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. And that's why I love myth and anything to do with imaginative thinking. So by using your imagination to play with the truths of your brand, you find new pathways, opportunities, and ways to move your business story into the future. Ultimately, you have the power to decide what is true for you now. Flushing out past beliefs or truths that were adopted from the family and society you were born to will help you bring consciousness around self-limiting thoughts and beliefs. After exploring the stories you're telling, you'll gain a clear picture of ways that you've given away your power. It's time to know and to speak your truth. So to do this, I'm going to do a little 2-minute exercise. It's a physical exercise and also some pranayama. So I call this a body prayer. It's a Kundalini yoga move that it helps move out stagnant energies, particularly out of Vishuddha, which is the Sanskrit name for the 5th chakra, which is located at the throat. Again, speaking your truth, putting your message out there. We need to have a nice, clear 5th chakra, and I've been working on 5th chakra issues all year. It's been a big one for me to kind of get through some blocks. So this will help you move stagnant energy and bring in fresh, vital energy through the breath. So I want you to reflect on the transformation, the metamorphosis you want to see in your business and or in your life. Bring this to your mind now. You may want to close your eyes just for a moment. What is the transformation? What is the metamorphosis you wish to see in your business and your life right now? Okay. So with that in your mind, open your eyes and put your hands on your shoulders, and you're twisting just from the waist. You're not turning your head. Everything is like one solid unit. You're turning all together like this. So when you turn to the left, inhale. Slowly turn to the right and exhale. Back to the left. Inhale. Exhale to the right. So you're inhaling fresh new energy. Turn to the right, exhaling out the old stagnant energy. Turn to the left, you're breathing in vital life force. Turn to the right and breathing out stuck, blocked energy. And you can go a little faster. Inhale fresh life. Exhale what you no longer want. Inhale vitality and newness. Exhale staleness, stagnation. So you could even do this at your own pace for about another 30 seconds. And you might feel yourself getting a little warm. It's good. It's also, this twisting action in yoga cleanses, all of these organs up in the torso. So it's squeezing and squishing the pancreas, the liver, and all of this stuff. So hopefully you're feeling a little bit more awake and alive. And we can do this actually with our hips too. I call this stirring the cauldron, and it's kind of hard to see, but push your hip out to the left. You could stand up to do this if you can. And then push your hips forward. So you're making a circle, but you're just going really slow, and it's a little bit exaggerated. Now push your hip out to the right. And then push your hip out towards the back, and see how I'm kind of leaning forward. I'm like really pushing my butt out. It really gets a good stretch. So you could start to make big circles like this. And I'll go sideways so you can kind of see. And then you could switch directions. You've been sitting for a while. So again, this is really good for activating the sacral chakra and the base chakra, and helping move stuff along here in the lower, your womb, your intestine, all of that stuff in there, just kind of, and it also really feels good on your back, your lower back, and your hips. And the hips have, a big connection to financial stress. So if you're feeling any kind of financial stress, you can really help relieve it by playing around with hip circles. All right, so I'm going to give you another exercise now that we've exercised our bodies a little bit. So this is going to be just a simple jam for about maybe 5 minutes. And it's called the truth of my brand is. So when I did this exercise the first time, I just wrote, just stream of consciousness. I put on a timer like we're going to do here and went through these exercises, and it was just fascinating what came up. So for me, the truth of my brand is that it is based on generosity. The truth of my brand is that it is mutually beneficial for me and others. The truth of my brand is that it's about loving my audience. The truth of my brand is that it's about being true to the images being birthed through the psyche. The truth of my brand is that I want to serve thousands of entrepreneurs. The truth of my brand is that I want to have freedom. So I'm going to give you like just a couple minutes and write down the truth of my brand is ... and then just stream of consciousness, write what comes to your mind. Don't censor it. Don't take your pen or pencil off the page. You want to just let it free flow. So let's give it a couple minutes. So after you write down your truths, and again, you could always take more time later today to take more time to do this. This is basically introducing the exercise to you. It's definitely something that you could do each quarter or monthly when you do your business review. Really just kind of get more connected with the truth of your brand, what's in your heart of what you want to express through your brand and your marketing. So here's a second jam that I'd like to end on today. And here's the question. If your only real obligation was to realize your personal legend, how would you change your business, your brand, and your life? So this is kind of a bigger one. Let me see. I should probably put this on the screen for you. Okay, I'm going to get it on there really nice and big. Okay, let's go to screen share. Here we go. Okay, so it should be up there now. Good, yes. So if your only real obligation was to realize your personal legend, how would you change your business, your brand, and your life? So I come back to this question a lot. And I'm always surprised at the different answers that flow out of me. And then what I tend to do is I connect those answers to my day-to-day schedule and to-do lists. And do these items on my to-do list truly reflect the realization of my personal legend? So the personal legend is your life calling and what you came to Earth to do. And I feel like if you have a habit of prioritizing it, you'll feel activating, on purpose, grounded, and centered, like your home. So I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to think about this question and maybe sketch out your answer. Again, don't take your pencil or pen off the page. Do it as uncensored and as free flow as you can. So go ahead and continue to take another minute or so. Okay, so let's wrap this up. So, because I'm connecting to my own personal legend more and more each year with my work, I brought back the plunge, a customized plan to bring more magic, moolah, and perfect fit clients into your business. You could find out all about it on my website, but I'm totally booked up for the rest of September, but I'm opening 2 spots for October. And it's a 45-day one-on-one immersion. And I did this, I haven't done it in a year because I revamped it to really add more of my gifts of magic, witnessing, synthesis, and storytelling. I kind of see myself as a synthesizing oracle. Let me get the right screen share here for you so you can see it. There's my beautiful mermaid. I love that image with the star in her hand. So I help visionaries finally express their brands in a cohesive way that empowers them to become more visible through their marketing and branding. So because you guys are just have been awesome and been participating in this webinar, I am giving you $100 off the total price of the plunge. So just email me that you saw the webinar and would like to get started, and you'll get the discount. And if you have any questions at all, or would just like to chat with me about marketing with archetypes and myth, branding, I would love to hear your thoughts. Just reach out via email, or I'm on Facebook, of course. You can also join my mastermind, which is 1 year old as of this week. We have about 290 members, and we start off with 50 people. It's a secret group, so you have to be friends with me on Facebook to get in. And we talk about all things under the sun, but it's super supportive for all people, supernaturally creative and gifted. So I invite you to continue this conversation with me there, and social media, anywhere, email. I would love to get to know you more. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you again for joining me for the Magnetize Your Dream Clients webinar. Many blessings. Have a good one. Bye.